My name is Nicole, and I am going to be talking about the birth of my daughter, Zora, who was born in 5 days. It will be 4 years ago. She's almost 4. And she was born at home. So the whole start to finish was fairly quick. We were hanging out. She came early, so we were hanging out, not expecting her that particular day. And we were going to go get some diapers, and Alex, my partner, was going to take a nap first, and he laid down to take a nap, and I got up to go to the bathroom, and my water broke. And I told him, I think my water broke. And he said, nah, you probably just peed on yourself. And I said, no, I'm pretty sure I didn't pee on myself. So we called our midwife, and I was sitting on the toilet because I was dripping, and she said, are you having any contractions? And I said, no, not really. And I was talking to her for a couple minutes, and then started having contractions as I was talking to her on the phone. And she said, all right, we'll kind of time them, and we'll see how things go. And then I think at that point we also called our doula, Emma, and she was like, can I take a shower, or should I just come over now, or I don't remember what she ended up doing. And so I had this whole plan. It was my first birth. I thought it was going to be long, and so I had all this stuff, music, I had CDs, I had candles, I had all this stuff that I wanted, and I had a list. I like to make lists. And so we started walking around, and my contractions, I think, were 5 minutes apart. And so we were walking around the house, trying to get everything set up, and I had my list, and at some point I set my list down. And I didn't know where it was. I didn't find it until she was a couple weeks old. But I set my list down, and then I didn't know what I needed to set up, so I kept trying to remember, what do we need to put plastic on the bed and different things. And Alex was keeping track of the time, and he kept telling me, oh, you're going to have a contraction pretty soon, and then I'd get somewhere where, I'd be comfortable. I did most of my laboring on my hands and knees, which was the most comfortable for me. And so we got stuff set up, and Emma got there, and the midwives got there, and I think when the midwife arrived, actually, I was already ready to push, but I think she tried to, she needed to get the stuff out of the car, so I think she made a gesture to Emma, don't let her push yet. She wanted to make sure she was ready. Oh, and then there was the birthing tub that they brought, and were, frantically trying to get it filled. And so I did all my laboring, most of my laboring on my hands and knees, and I remember, in between, I would lay down, and at some point I was getting kind of tired, and and it hurt. It wasn't terrible, but it did hurt, and I was laying down, and I was thinking, if I feel a contraction coming, if I just stay laying down like this, maybe it'll just go away. And I really thought that was a possibility. I thought me getting on my hands and knees was actually, accepting it, and then... So, but I do remember thinking during the whole process, yeah, it was intense and stuff, but I remember thinking, this is not that bad, I could do this again, though I haven't. And so then they got the tub filled, and I don't know, I was totally not keeping track of time at all, so I was just into my contractions and such, and I got in the tub, and my partner got in the tub with me, and he thought it was a hot tub, and so he kind of relaxed a little bit in the tub next to me until somebody pointed out to him that why don't you hold Nicole or do something helpful with her. And so he did that. I think I was leaning on him while I was, because at that point I was pushing in the tub. And so the pushing felt long, and the pushing was hard. I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere, even though everyone was assuring me that I was. I felt like nothing was happening. And then once the head started pushing out, it looked really like it looked like that, kind of from my angle at least, in the water. And I was like, oh my god, either she's really tiny or she has like super cone head. And so I was a little bit worried. I didn't know if that was normal, but her head ended up being normal, so that was good. And although a cone head might have been easier to birth, but so anyway, so I just kept pushing, and then eventually she came out, and it felt really, really good to push her out. And her, I think the umbilical cord was fairly short, so she was born in the water, and I kind of pulled her up, and the midwife was like, don't pull her up too high, because it was connected, and it was short, and so I had to kind of hold her low, and I think the whole start to finish from when my water broke was like 5.5 hours, and so it felt really fast, and I was just sitting there with this baby going, oh my god, what just happened? It felt very surreal and very, it was overwhelming, and I had been waiting a long time to see her and meet her, and I was very excited. Oh, and then I didn't know that she was a girl yet, and so at some point I was holding her, and I was like, oh wait, is it a boy or a girl? And the midwife was like, why don't you look? And so we looked, and she was a girl, and and then held her, and I guess a part of the birth that I didn't hear as much about, I guess, was the pushing out the placenta. Or I must have known that I was going to push out the placenta, but I think that my partner actually held her while I was pushing out the placenta, and that was actually less pleasant than the birthing the baby. One, there's not a baby at the end of it, of the pushing, and two, you just kind of want to hang out with your baby. So that was I could have done without that, but I did need to get the placenta out, so. And then it just felt really weird, because then it was like, oh, we have this baby, and now we need to figure out what to do with the baby, and somehow we did figure that out. And now she's almost 4, and we're still figuring things out along the way, but feeling probably a little bit more secure than I did that first night.